Last week, I asked you guys, what weapon do you want to see me make a guide video on? And a large majority of you guys said you guys want to see an Octobrush guide. And I was like, all right, we can make an Octobrush guide. I'm down. And that's what we're doing here today. In my opinion, out of the three Octobrushes, I think Octobrush Nouveau has one of the best kits out of the three. And let's really learn how to properly abuse and take advantage of that kit to, win some more solo games, to win and be a better teammate for your team. Now, something to note is that the Octobrush does not have the farthest range as a weapon, and typically speaking, you're going to want to actually go in and just splat your opponent by being really up close and really personal, and just being able to shark and take advantage of that short range that you typically have as a brush and quickly splat your opponent. This is typically noted in the sense that if you go to the training yard and if you are 2 lines away, you're going to be able to actually kill with the brush in 4 hits, compared to if you're just a line and a half away, you're going to be able to splat your opponent in essentially 3 easy swings. And that changes it up, as the damage you do with brush all depends on how close you are to your opponent and how much ink you're able to splatter onto them with the brush. While the Octobrush might not have the best range for a weapon, it does have a really good amount of coverage, and you're able to just splatter paint everywhere really quickly just by spamming ZR, and it makes it so that you're able to actually fill up your special really quickly by using special charge up. While the brush might not have the best range, since you're able to basically splatter paint everywhere, you're essentially able to make paths and puddles where you're able to essentially hide and shark in to then quickly splat your opponent as your opponent's not expecting you there. Or if not, you're able to quickly make a quick path that you're able to then sneak in and out of. That's really effective, and honestly, brush players should take more advantage of. Something you're going to want to really combo this, unique ability that the brush has of just splattering paint and really fast timing it splat is you're going to want to shark. And sharking is essentially when you hide in a puddle of ink and wait for your opponent to come near you for you to then quickly pop out and attack them like a shark does at a pool or a beach. Something that really is important to note is that with brush, you're actually going to want to actually overpeak, and overpeaking basically allows you to quickly get a splat on your opponent, as typically speaking, your brush, when you splat, you don't have fall off. So it's really important for you to quickly just splatter ink upwards and over your opponent, as you're able to quickly just splat your opponent. And this is way more effective than you trying to go around the corner and quickly splat, as your entire body will be exposed, compared to if you overpeak. If you want an entire video on overpeaking, I made an entire video on the channel. It'll be in the eye icon or in the link in the description down below. So check it out after this video. Something that's really important to note with brush is that you're not going to want to quickly go into a fight willy-nilly, and just take your time, gather information, assess what's happening, and quickly go in, as you're going to want to be more of an assassin than an actually frontline pressure that's constantly in your opponent's face. You're going to want to be in your opponent's face, but you want to be like a ninja. You want to be kind of behind your opponent, and you want to catch them off guard when they're least expecting it. That way you're able to be more successful with splats, and also you're not constantly getting caught out as a brush. So something that's really important to do is just take your time, play a little bit slower, breathe, assess the situation, see what needs to be done. Is there a flank that you need to go back on and help your teammates on, or are you quickly able to just flank on this direction, and just take your time with it. Something you're going to constantly do as a brush is reposition, as while you're able to shark, that sharking only works 1 or 2 times, as after that your opponent's gonna either spam ouch, and then their opponents are gonna notice that, oh hey, there's someone over there, our teammate just went down, they spammed ouch. Or 2, the teammate's also in VC and they go, hey, there's a brush on right, and they're just right there and they're gonna get called out. So something really important to do is actually constantly shark, but also constantly reposition yourself, so that way you're not an obvious target and you're not just in one place. Because if they know where you're at, they're just gonna preemptively shoot where you're at, and they're gonna be probably far enough where you can't actually reach them, and they're gonna get enough damage into you that you can't actually escape. Something that's really useful for repositioning, or even just a quick getaway, is actually using beacons. Now, beacons can be used in multiple ways, but one way that's really useful is actually when in the beginning of the match, or even middle or end of the match, quickly splatter ink and put a beacon near your side of the zone, or near your side of middle. That way, in the middle of a fight, if you go down, or maybe your teammates go down, your teammates are then able to quickly super jump to the beacon and get back into a fight after they traded or lost a 1v1, unfortunately. And this allows you to constantly keep up momentum and pressure on your opponents, because let's say you push up and you're holding zone and 2 of your teammates go down, but because you have the beacons, they can quickly jump back, and while your opponents might be like, oh hey, we got an advantage, let's quickly cover zone, oh no, you guys are right back in the middle of the fight because you have beacons. You can also put beacons on your opponent's side of middle, but this is a little bit more risky, so be careful and put in a good note to have in mind is to put beacons typically behind a wall, behind an object. That way it's hidden and it's harder for your opponent to actually get to and just reach, because you want to make it more difficult for your opponent to splat it. That way, you know, the beacon still stays up, your team is still then able to jump to the beacon, and it's just really versatile. Something that's really important to note is that with beacon, you're typically gonna want to put it on low ground instead of like, you know, somewhere on high ground, because with beacon has an ability where essentially if your opponent's near a beacon and you press X to look at the map, your opponents will be shown on the beacon. So it's a really good way of you knowing if someone's near the beacon, or if your opponents are, let's say, pushing in a certain area and they don't notice the beacon, because, you know, it's solo, not everyone notices beacons. You should destroy beacons if you ever see a beacon in solo. But let's say it's solo and your opponents don't notice the beacon. Let's say they start flanking, but because you put a beacon on a, you know, a flank route, quote unquote, now you're able to then press X, you're able to see that they're flanking, and you then take notice of their flank before they even flank. And we're not even done with how versatile beacons can be, because not only can you use them to get your team back into a fight, not only can you use them to scout your opponent, you can also use beacons as a decoy. And what I mean by a decoy is that if you need to quickly escape, you can quickly put a beacon down and it basically make your opponent have to choose. Do they get the beacon? Do they get you? Or do they get the zone, the objective that's running? Let's say you're running Rainmaker. And this is very versatile, as the beacon essentially takes a hit for you. And because of that, you're essentially able to win 1v1s better, because you're able to play behind a beacon and quickly splat your opponent, because your shot of the ink brush will go past your beacon, but your opponent, if they aim at the beacon / you, they'll hit the beacon more than they'll actually hit you. And while they might shred the beacon, you're able to quickly splat your opponent and then, you know, put a beacon right back down. So it's a really good thing to do, is use beacons as a decoy. Something really cool you can do with Tenet missiles is not only just shoot them out to quickly put pressure on your opponent, but you can actually combo your Tenet missiles with your teammate to quickly, you know, put out Tenet missiles, and that acts as a nice little mini echo location for anyone who's ever played Splatoon 1. A nice echo location, and now your teammate pushed out with Inkjet, they're now able to quickly see where your opponent is at and where your opponent, because your opponent will have a retinal on them because of the Tenet missiles. It's also a really good thing to use with Tenet missiles, is actually just use it to scout your opponents. So let's say, you know, your opponents are gonna come back in, but you're not sure from what direction. You quickly pop Tenet missiles, you quickly look around, you can see what direction they're coming in, and you use it to add pressure and put pressure on your opponent. As a brush, you're not going to be able to quickly, you know, run at them in full directly a 1v1. You know, you're not going to want to approach them directly from a straight line. You're going to want to, like, you know, sneak around, flank a little. So something that's really cool to do is use Tenet missiles to get their attention, make them reposition, or make them punish for grouping up, especially on chargers, and then quickly flank on one direction and then pop on them and quickly get some couple of splats. So when you can, use Tenet missiles to put pressure on your opponent and force them to relocate. If not, you know, use it when they're trying to push back into the zone and quickly just apply pressure onto them. Now let's move on to some abilities and builds that you should run on Octobrush. The first couple abilities you're going to want to note is actually swim speed. Swim speed goes a really long way. Some sub saver as well. Also some ninja squid goes a really long way in allowing you to quickly shark, be in and out, and have really good mobility as a brush player. A little bit of ink resistance also goes a really long way as well. Some ink recovery if you ever need it, some quick comeback, some quick respawn, you know, quick super jump if you ever want to jump to your beacon a little bit faster, but something to do it to jump to your beacons faster that helps even more and even helps your teammates is running sub power up. Sub power up basically makes it so that when you jump to a beacon, or even your teammates jump to a beacon, their jump speed is actually increased. So your teammates with some, you know, sub power up is actually able to jump to the beacon way faster than if they were to just not use, you know, sub power up. Now the best part is that your teammates don't need sub power up on it. You just need to run sub power up on it, and now everyone gets the added benefit of jumping to beacons super fast. Now this is some builds that I found on Sendou.ink. You know, hey guys, go support Sendou. Go check out builds if you are ever wondering about what builds you want to run on Sendou.ink. Here are some builds that I found for Inkbrush. Check them out. There are more builds on the website that I could include. So hey, if you want to check out some more Octobrush builds, give them a try. The link will be in the description. If you have any questions about today's video or anything I said in this video sounded confusing or just left you being a little bit stargazed, I stream on Twitch. It's a good place for you to just come ask me questions. I spend a lot of time just answering your guys' question or even just playing Splatoon. So come hang out. Link is in the description down below. If you guys enjoyed today's video and want to see more Splatoon guides, techs, and tips, be sure to make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Comment down below what weapon you want me to make a guide video next and actually cover next, as well as just let me know if this guide video is actually helpful. Let me know what I can improve on in the next video. If you want to stay ahead of the Splatoon tips and just want to essentially get the inside tech and tips before they actually get onto YouTube, I upload videos on TikTok and we just hit 100 followers. So I'm super thankful, super grateful, guys. So link is in the description if you want to, check out the TikTok, check out the whole page down there. And yeah. And without further ado, my name is Gabe and I'll keep throwing with the brush. Later.